All right. How do we look? Does it look good? Oh, it does look good. Look at this. This is nice. All right. Audios look good. Look at us go. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Brink About It. My name is Matthew Brinker, and we're going to have a little chat today. I did the video last week because I just wanted to put something out that we're doing this, and I'm doing a podcast, and we're doing stuff, and now I'm doing stuff. So here we are doing more stuff. So anyways, hi, welcome. I'm getting my wheels greased again with all this and figuring out how to do it again. And I'm going to just talk, and we're going to let the cameras run. And when they shut off at 30 minutes, I'm going to probably come back and wrap up this podcast, and that'll be it. But I wanted this first full podcast to be like, who am I? Some stuff about me. And yeah. And I think next week I'm going to try and have somebody on the podcast with me, so it's not just me talking. But I really want to get the set finished and get some things ironed out before I go too far in that. Come on, camera work. There we go. Good job. All right, so hi, this is Brink About It. I'm doing this podcast as an outlet for me to talk about things I want to talk about with people I want to talk about them with. That can be pretty much anything. Obviously, if you're watching this, you probably know I am a full-time freelance videographer, photographer, drone pilot, graphic designer. I've been a mixologist and a bartender and a bar manager for 20 years, and I'm getting out of that. I do plan on interviewing a lot of my mixology and bartending friends and a lot of my creative friends and a lot of my business friends on another podcast. But this is going to be more personal stuff. This is about me, who I am, what I want to talk about. So I thought it'd be fun to start with just like 10 facts about me. I was actually, funny story. I was at a EDM show, and we went to afters, and there was a guy trying to hit on a girl, and she was like, tell me 7 interesting things about yourself right now. And he couldn't. And it was really funny. And I was like, dude, I've got a bunch. I was like, here, and I rattled off a bunch of stuff. So here's the rapid fire interesting things about Matt Brinker and who he is. Actually, random. Somebody just asked me this earlier here. We were talking after a conversation with a fellow creative friend of mine, the guy that owns this building and where I'm renting the space to do this podcast. His name's JT, and he's awesome. And I'm really excited to be doing this. So if you see this, JT, thank you. You're the man. He's like, do you prefer Matt or Matthew? And I was like, honestly. Anyways, Matt, Matthew, Brinks, Brinker. I've gone by all of it. You can call me whatever. So anyways, I am from Gallipolis, Ohio originally. I grew up in small town Ohio, youngest of 4 children. This is where things get fun. I was homeschooled until high school. People will be like, oh, I knew that. It's like, no, you didn't. You didn't know that. But I was homeschooled until high school, where I enrolled in dual credit at a university and community college called Rio Grande, but spelled Rio Grande, but said wrong by everybody in the area in Southern Ohio. It's Rio Grande. I did 2 years there, and then I went to Marshall University for school, where I studied management and marketing and had 5 of the best years of my life. I was an accomplished gymnast growing up, national champion a couple times, did that for a while. It was fun. I don't really flip anymore, but great. I grew up in a Christian cult. This is where things get really fun. I grew up in a Christian cult. We'll talk about that another day. But it's a very formidable thing in my life, formative thing in my life, growing up in that little Christian cult. I have 9 piercings, I have 10 tattoos, and yes, they all have meaning to me, and yes, I love all of them. I don't regret any of them at all. But yeah, 10 separate tattoos, 10 separate sessions of things. I ran a brewery in Ohio for a long time called 6 Cents Brewing. That is in Jackson, Ohio. And I did a podcast for a year while I was in Ohio out of the brewery. I picked up that podcast with a guy because he always wanted to talk about creativity and art and business around craft beer and things like that. And we did a podcast that I called On the Brink. I did it for about a year, discontinued it. It got to be too much work for me to do on my own, and I was kind of doing it on my own at that point, and that's why I quit. We stopped it, but it was really good. It was really, 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 it was fun. It's really fun. And that's why I wanted to do this again, is because I like just talking. I have the privilege of having these awesome cameras and lights and microphones and equipment. I've been a bartender my whole life. I love talking. I can tell stories for days. And it was fun, and I have the privilege of being able to do this. I'm renting this space out of a old firehouse here in Wilmington. There's a guy named JT who owns a company called Boot Scrap, and he owns this building and he works out of here. It's his office, and he has allowed me to rent this space to podcast out of and also produce podcasts for people and for him. So we've just had a long meeting talking about all the stuff we can and want to do with this space, this podcast, our equipment, our friends, the creativity we've got. I'm really excited. I'm like really, really, really excited. And that's why I want to do this. And it's almost like I have so many awesome things going on in my life. And I'm so excited I want to connect these people and talk about ideas and use the cameras and use my annoying voice and all that to like put people on and help and grow this creative community here in Wilmington. And yeah, grow my business and get clients and I don't know, just network. I love networking and meeting people and growing this. But yeah, anyways, I did a podcast. I loved it. I missed it. And now I have the opportunity to do it again. It was funny. I asked some friends what I should call my podcast, and a bunch of them were like, you should call it On the Brink. And I was like, well, I already did On the Brink. That was with somebody else. So I don't want to do it again. So we're going to do something different. So this is Brink About It. And I have to tell this funny story, about the origin of the name of this podcast. I have two friends of mine that I used to work with. I actually worked in the restaurant next door to the brewery back home. That's kind of why this all makes sense here at the end, why I'm talking about all this stuff. But I wanted to get to the lore of who I am in this podcast and all that, and that's what we're doing. Kelsey Day and Leslie Daly, hello. You guys are awesome. I miss you. I love you. They used to work at Arch and Eddie's next to Six Sense Brewing, the brewery that I ran. And Kelsey in particular would sarcastically just be like, I'm just going to go Brink About It. And she'd grab her beer and walk away. And it became a joke. Like, well, what are you going to do? You're going to Brink About It? Oh, you're going to Brink About this? Brink About that? So it became a long running joke with these friends that I worked with. And when it came time to name this podcast, Brink About It was the most interesting thing I could think of that fit kind of who I am and kind of the lore of my life and my history. I'm going to bring Leslie and Kelsey down to be on this podcast at some point. And I hope they bring our friend Chris down too. Chris, if you see this, I love you. Thank you for always supporting me and making me feel good about myself. You're the best. But anyways, so yeah, that's the name of the podcast, the origin of that. Last interesting fact, I already kind of mentioned it. I've been a mixologist and a bar manager and a bartender off and on for about 20 years now. It'll be 20 years total in and out of the industry next year. This is actually my last week of bartending. I have 3 shifts left, and then potentially I'm done bartending forever, which is terrifying. It's terrifying. I'm going full-time freelance completely on my own. I've wanted to do this for a decade now. Since I was young, I've wanted to be a creative person and an artist and work for myself. Back through the Brinker lineage, my seems like everybody in my family, especially the men and the women, have been entrepreneurs. They've worked for themselves, and it hit me about the time I picked up video and photo a decade ago. It was actually that's so funny. I just thought about this. It would have been 10 years ago on Thanksgiving. I saw a sign for Brinker jewelry. It was my grandparents' sign, my grandfather's sign that I never got to meet, for his jewelry company. And I was like, man, like this might, like maybe I should work for myself. My dad has been a mechanic his whole life and has had his own business my whole life. So he's always worked for himself, and I've always seen the flexibility and freedom that allowed him. And in the creative industry, obviously, it's nice to have flexibility and freedom to do what you want and to go places, to shoot things and see different places and all that. But so yeah, I'm at the end of the journey of one thing and starting on this next journey into this new thing, and I'm pretty terrified. But I have faith that the network I've developed, the people that I know, my skills, my personality. I think that it's going to work out. I hope it's going to work out. I was just talking to JT about that. He's like, man, you got this. And it's like, it's so funny. Everybody's so positive to me about me. And I think that you can probably relate to that if you're listening to this, is like, other people are really positive about me to me, for the most part. The feedback from that first episode that I did last week, it wasn't really an episode, just I wanted to put something out there, but I had a couple people DM me and they were like, man, we're so excited for this for you. We can't wait. And that was so encouraging. So thank you so much. That really means a lot to me. Like, I am a words of affirmation person. I love any affirmation you can give me. Will make me feel really good for a long time. A little bit goes a long way too. It's kind of crazy. But I'm a words of affirmation person. I know that about myself. And it felt really good for so many of you to reach out and say like, hey, we're really excited for you to do this. We think you're going to do good at it. A lot of people didn't know. That's the funny thing is, like, a lot of people don't know a lot about the things that I've done in the creative space, because I did so much of it in Ohio. And I only really restarted the video business about a year ago here in Wilmington. I did some odd jobs and did some social media management for a couple of years, but really only restarted last fall because I wanted to fly drones again. I told a guy across the bar in 2018 I was going to live near the ocean and fly drones, and that's what I've been doing, kind of. So yeah, I say that just to acknowledge that I'm living in a moment that I dreamed of. Like, in 2018, I was dreaming of living near the ocean and flying drones. And now I get to fly drones to the ocean all the time. Wrightsville's right. I live in Wilmington, North Carolina. Wrightsville's right there. Carolina Beach is right there. It's beautiful here. I love it. I'm blessed with so many people in my life that are supportive. All this equipment, this space. I'm really grateful, and really kind of humbled, honestly, and really excited for this next chapter, because it should be really cool. But it is slightly terrifying still, because I'm doing it on my own. If I can't pay rent, no one's going to pay it for me. So I've got to do a good job. But that's kind of the whole thought with this podcast and with what I'm going to be doing is I just want an outlet to talk. To connect with people, to show more video, to show me, and to connect with other people. I do have a question, and I really would love it if you guys would leave a comment or DM me and let me know who you want me to interview, who you want me to talk with, who you want me to hang out with. And by the way, this is not final at all. Like, this is going to change. So I just want to set expectations that you're not going to see the exact same thing out of me every single time here. I'm going to like play with things and try different stuff. And like, this is a different angle than last time. And that's a little different. The background's a little different. This is new. It's going to change. But anyways, I want to know who you want me to interview first. If you know me personally and you want to be on this and you want to be the first one, shoot me a message. I think it's going to be really cool. I've got a lot of friends that do a lot of different things that I want to talk with them about what they're doing, why they're doing it, how they're doing it. I think it'd be really cool. I think it's going to be really cool. That's what I loved about the podcast I did before was all the people I got to meet. I'm still connected with a lot of them on Facebook and Instagram, even though most of them are back in Ohio. But seeing what they do on a daily basis now through social media is cool. People I wouldn't have never have met if I didn't have a conversation with them and the other guy I was doing the podcast with. But so yeah, here we are. Yeah, I'm just happy to be doing this. I'm happy that I'm able to. I'm grateful for that. JT and I were talking about all the things that we want to do with this space and with this kind of partnership. I'm going to produce some content for him. Again, like I said, for myself and for clients. We're going to make this kind of interchangeable, I think, to where we can do multiple different looks and things. We're talking about the setup. Like, this obviously is a little too cluttered maybe for a normal thing, but I love it. This shot, I love that shot. I love this shot too. But we need to make the other side match. We're going to do some other things. So I think we're going to move things away from the wall a little bit and create a lounge area and have like a little space for a producer and a table and things. And but yeah, we're just going to do a lot of fun things with this. And I'm super excited because this is the first time I've ever worked in an office at all, or a creative space that's like with other creative people. I've done this on my own for a decade. My sister is a wedding and senior portrait photographer, and she's a wonderful resource and a wonderful person to talk to about things and ask questions to and bounce ideas off of. But she's busy. She's a mother of three and has her own business, and she's got a husband and they're busy. And so I don't always get to use that resource. That's completely fine. No shade at all. I get it. But to be able to have other creative people that I look up to down the hall, like all of them. There's a better photographer over there. There's a better videographer over there. There's a better social media person over there. They're all better at things than me. And I love that. I get to be in a creative environment with all these other creative people creating stuff. And that's super cool. And that goes back to, like, I guess the origin story for all of this. We go way, way back. Always been interested in video and photo. Always loved it. Technology's always been fascinating to me. I remember we got our first computer in 1993. I was 6 years old. So you can guess my age. Great. First episode. Hey, Matt, you're old. Anyways, first computer in 1993, and I remember like playing with Corel Draw and Paint, Microsoft Paint. And there was a 3D program where you could like do shapes and make art and stuff. And I remember like, I want to be good at this and I'm not. And I don't know how to get good at this creative art thing I want to get good at. And that never left. I tried drawing, I tried painting, I tried everything. I've played tons of different instruments, guitar, piano, bass, all kind of different stuff. I used to sing until my voice turned to this. I didn't always sound like this, by the way. This happened in college. I should probably tell that story at some point, but let's not get too off track here. But anyways, always been interested in video and photo. Always wanted to be an artist. Found myself about 10 years ago, kind of between things, figuring out what I wanted to do with my life. I was talking to my sister and her husband about her photography business, and I never wanted to like just do photography because it was her thing. Like, to be honest, I never wanted to do it because it was her thing. I didn't want to like step on her thing. I wanted that to be her thing. I wanted to do something different. And at this time, actually backtrack even more. I discovered Philip DeFranco on YouTube. Shout out, Phil, man. I remember you from the SXE Phil days. But I found him on YouTube in like 2010, I think, maybe 2009. And I was like, wait, this guy's just making videos on the internet in an office and producing stuff on his own and put it out there, and that's all he does. And that was the spark. And then fast forward, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life and where I was gonna go. And I was talking to my sister about photo and video, and YouTube was already big. Casey Neistat had just started, or I think he might have been about to start his daily vlog. It could have already started, but Gary Vaynerchuk was huge on YouTube. He'd been doing daily V's and Ask Gary V and all that stuff. And Peter McKinnon had just blown up. He did like 9 camera hacks, 90 seconds. And his video blew up, and I was like, "What is happening, man? What is happening in the world? And how can I get a piece of it?" And that's when I decided I was going to pick up video and focus on video. Drones were becoming more accessible at that time, and I was like, "These are amazing." And I made the choice. That's what I wanted to do, and didn't have any access to it though. I had no cameras. I had no drones. I had no editing software. I'd actually bought a computer many years before, and they're like, "Do you think you want any more like RAM or anything? Are you going to do any photo or video editing on this?" And I was like, "Nah, I'm never going to do like that." And then all of a sudden I needed to use this computer to edit videos and photos, and I didn't know how, and it wasn't good enough, and I didn't have a camera. So I felt kind of stuck for a while, and there was one day that I think Gary, Casey, and Peter all put out videos on YouTube that basically were like, I think Casey's was like, how to become a filmmaker. And he was like, you just start. You either grab a phone or a GoPro or you get a camera and you start. And Peter had put something out like, yeah, how I got started. I just started. I started taking pictures. I started doing stuff. And I think Gary that same day was like, just start, just do it. And I went to Best Buy that day and got a little clip-on lens for my phone and a little like tripod that went on the phone and I bought a pop socket for the first time. And I started like walking around. I was in Columbus, Ohio at the time. I started walking around Columbus, Ohio, like vlogging myself so that I could learn how to edit videos. And I started taking pictures of everything so I could learn how to edit pictures. Kind of did that and struggled for about a year figuring out what I was going to do or how I was going to do it, but was honing skills. And then I was able to max out a credit card and buy my first camera and lens. And I bought a Canon SL2 with a nifty 50 and maxed out the credit card to get it. One battery, no microphone, I think I had a $10 Amazon Basics tripod. And I posted on Instagram stories that I had gotten my very first camera, and a DM came through, it felt like an hour maybe. Someone's like, hey, I saw you got a camera now. What will you charge me to do this video project? And I was like, $300. And they said, yes. And then the next job I said $4. And the next job I said $5. And then I kind of kept it there and was like, okay, if I can do jobs for $500 and I can deliver maximum quality and bang for the buck for them, then I can get more jobs. And I did. And more jobs and more jobs. And then I started working at the brewery and I met people and I started getting more jobs and I started doing their social media and that got me more jobs. And then I was visiting my sister down on Oak Island, which is just south of here, in 2020. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to go home and I'm going to put in my notice at the brewery and I'm going to go full-time freelance. I'd made a ton of money earlier that year doing video stuff. And I was like super riding a high. I'm shooting shit with my sister. And she's like, you might want to keep an eye on this thing that's happening overseas. You might want to, keep track of it. I was like, I'm not like yes, it was a thing. Yes, it happened. Yes, it's real. Like, I'm not one of those. But I was like, the other things didn't make it overseas. But this one obviously did. And then we got locked down a week after I got back from visiting my sister on Oak Island. And everything came to a screeching halt in 2020, except for the brewery. The brewery was great. And if you're an old friend from the brewery and you're watching this, thank you so much for supporting that brewery in 2020. The community rallied around us in a way I'd never seen before. It was insane. People were dropping big tips on us bartenders because they liked us so much. We did to-go food and beer. It was crazy. 2020 was insane for everybody I know, but 2020 was really crazy for me. It felt like every minute I was pivoting to something new. Then early 21, I ended up leaving my job at the brewery and kind of helped out a friend with his woodworking business for a little while and was kind of doing random odd jobs, figuring out what I wanted to do. Almost moved to Nashville, thinking about moving to Florida, thought about moving to Texas. Ended up, a friend of mine had lived in Wilmington, and I was like, do you have any connections? And she had worked at Front Street Brewery here in town. And I said, hey, put me in contact with them. She gave me the contact info that pointed my lens on Wilmington. And then I ended up emailing all the breweries in Wilmington. New Anthem got back to me first. And I packed up the car and all my gear and my dogs, which I have not mentioned yet, and drove down to my sister's on Oak Island. And I checked out Wilmington for the very first time in May 1st of 21, actually. I interviewed the next week. He offered me a job. I moved into my apartment on May 7th, and it's getting closer to 5 years now I've been here. And to be completely honest, I was too afraid once I got into Wilmington to really pursue this full time. I was too afraid to put myself out there in a new town with all these other creative people doing really high quality photo and video work. There are film studios here. There are podcasting studios here. Some of the best photographers I've ever met and videographers are here. And drone pilots. I've got a friend that flies drones professionally. His stuff's on TV and in movies. Like, I was terrified and I didn't do it. And I did little jobs here and there, but I always kept things quiet and didn't really say much. And it took a message from a friend who now is working down the hall and an email from a shitty person who will never be named on this, but it's a story I'm going to tell you about why I am where I am now. But I got a text from a friend and a shitty email from an asshole, and that sparked me last year. And I went, you know what? I'm going to do this. It's time to stop being afraid, and it's time to restart this business and to go. So, fast forward now. here I am. It's almost exactly a year later since I restarted the business. I recertified for my drone license. I've been doing tons of drone jobs around Wilmington and the surrounding area. I've gotten to meet all these creative people that are in this office. I'm going to be working with them, producing stuff with them. Yeah. I was bartending full time a year ago. And now I'm going to be done. And it, again, it's pretty scary, but pretty cool. So yeah, that's kind of the long and the short of who Matt Brinker is. Yeah. So hi, welcome. I think from here on out, these videos are going to be probably on some kind of topic. I do think I'm going to probably have somebody with me next time. I don't just want to be me yapping into the camera. I hope you're entertained by my annoying voice and my stupid tattoos and all my flair, or whatever it is. Or maybe you just give a shit about me and you just want to listen to me ramble, because I actually did that for a while. I used to, they're all privated videos. I'm never going to show them to the world again. But I used to I would drive from my house in Columbus down to my parents' house, and I would turn on the camera on the drive and just talk about whatever. And that was years before I started the podcast. That's why I knew I wanted to start a podcast. And it's also why I knew I wanted to restart this or start another podcast. Just a place to talk, a creative outlet, something to do that can maybe add value to people's lives. There are tons of ideas and thoughts I want to get out into the world about creativity and business, mental health, men and masculinity, dating and society. I've got a lot of opinions about a lot of stuff, and I really want to talk about it and talk about it with cool people. And come on there, camera. Yeah, get me. There you go. So that's what you can expect here. We are going to cut at 30 minutes probably. If it just goes black, I'll come right back and I'll wrap up the video really quick. But we are going to keep these videos to a 30-minute, probably 2 camera setup, maybe even 1 camera sometimes. I might even take that camera and make it vertical for content. So I'm figuring this out as I go. But I'm just really excited for this journey, and I'm excited to take you guys along with me. If you haven't seen my work, please check out my website. Please check out my YouTube. Please check out my Instagram. Check out Boot Scrap. I'll link them down below. 2040 Productions is across. Lenny Schoenborn, I think I'm saying that right, is across the hall from me. Creative Collective Co. is down the hall from me too. There's all people that are awesome that I love working with. I'm going to bring other creative friends on soon, I'm sure. Just to talk and see where this goes and see if we can help build a community here of people that are interested and engaged. And then I do, again, want to take this platform, this idea, and move it over to another podcast as well, where we talk about more businessy, formal things, I think. And I'm going to help JT produce some stuff and some other people. So it's really exciting. Again, I've said it a bunch already, but it's really scary. The last thing I'm going to talk about, I've got a minute and a half left to these cameras cut. So I didn't tell you my bonus fact about me is I have 2 little dogs, and they're little Yorkies, and they're known as the Beans. They're named Nina, Angel, and Britt Hope, and they're 11 years old as of recording this, and they are wonderful. And I'll do a whole video on them at some point, and I'll bring them in and let them sit in my lap and talk and film them and do all that cute stuff. But they're 5 and 6 pounds. They're wonderful, and they're my favorite things about life. And I tell them every day, I gotta go pay the bills, Beans. So I'm doing this with the Beans, man. I gotta pay for bills, for their food and all that stuff. So anyways, you'll meet the Beans at some point on this podcast, but this is going to be a really cool space for me to just come on and talk and vent about things that are going on, or connect about things that are happening, or learn about stuff I'm interested in. You can expect a lot of different stuff from me moving forward. What do you think about this little, I need to show you this. This looks like a childhood desk that I grew up with in my grandparents' house. So I bought it. But we're filling out the space and doing all that, and I'm excited for it. But yeah, what do you think about that? Number 1. And number 2, let me know who I should bring onto the podcast first to interview or talk with or have a conversation with, because that needs to happen. I want somebody else to banter with. And I honestly think 30 minutes might not be enough, because this is ending quickly already for me. But I like that. I want to be manageable. All right, yeah, here we are. I'm back. Like I said, digestible for you, manageable for me. That makes it easier. I don't want to overload myself or overwhelm myself with a workload that I'm not going to be able to keep up with because I want to keep doing this. I want this to be my baby, and I want it to be out in the world. I want to do it once a week and just have something out there, have clips to cut and put online that are beautiful, me talking about things. So that's all from me. I've got a couple things I also want your opinion on. I've got a couple sayings that I really love, so I'll leave this here for you too. Please let me know what you think. I think that passion is priceless. I think that execution is everything, and I do not think that art is optional. So last time I signed off with, always remember, passion is priceless, execution is everything, and art is not optional. I also love the Steve Jobs quote, stay hungry and stay foolish. And I also love, I think it's Oscar Wilde, but I'll look it up. It's a quote. It says, I don't know where I'm going from here, but I promise you it won't be boring. Are all quotes that I really love and all things I kind of live by. Like leap of faith is another one. I've done a leap of faith many times in my life. But yeah, let me know what you think on a sign off. I don't know if it really matters. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. My name is Matthew Brinker. This has been the Brink About It podcast. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. And I hope I see you again here soon. Cheers. Do I do something stupid at the end? Do I do something stupid at every end of every video just to keep people like, did you see that at the end? Because people are like, in the last video, it's like doing stupid stuff to the microphone and whatever. But I'm going to keep rambling. I can ramble forever. If you can't tell, I can just ramble. I can just go and talk. And that's why I want to do this, because I like it. And I'm not going to be bartending anymore, so I need to talk to somebody. And that's been an ongoing joke my whole life when bartending and service is that I talk too much. But I'm kind of entertaining, so I keep talking. Somewhere like Natalie, Curran, Jill, everybody I worked with at the other spot before that I'll never name, all rolling their eyes and all hating their life right now because I'm a talker. If you can't tell, I'm a talker. So, all right, that's all. I love you. Bye.